You guys know I love podcasting and listening to podcasts, and I'm guessing if you're listening to this that you love podcasts too. Have you ever considered podcasting yourself? It is a great way to reach your audience, grow your know, like and trust factor, and not need to show your face unless you want to. If it is something you've thought about but you don't know where to start, then head over to becomeapodcaster.uk/BAP quiz, BAP quiz, to access a 2-minute quiz that will help you work out what type of podcast might suit you. That's becomeapodcaster.uk/BAP quiz. You're listening to the Mindset and Action podcast, bringing you the map to grow and streamline your business in 2023. I'm your host, Donna Eade, your go-to gal for all things podcasting, planning and productivity. And I'll be bringing you all that plus mindset goodness from experts with knowledge to share. Let's make 2023 the year of success in your business. Traditional marketing talks at people. Content marketing talks with them. Doug Kessler. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I am so excited to have you here today. Today, as this podcast goes out, is June 22nd, which means that my free web class is going up tonight. So I'm going to be there on Zoom. If you are already registered, then you should have the link. If you are not already registered, there is still time. So you can go to bit.ly/webclass-SYP. So it will be linked in the show notes, but if you head to that link or go to becomeapodcaster.uk, you should find it on the homepage there as well, if that's easier. But sign up, get your spot saved for the web class. It is going to be all about understanding the power of podcasting. And we spoke about it last week. I'm going to speak about it again today. But tonight we're going to be going over some really interesting information. I'm going to be talking about the different types of shows that you can do. I'm going to be relating it to your business, working out with you what type of show you might want to do. And so definitely come along if you're interested in starting a podcast. And on top of that, I am going to be opening the doors to my small group program. So this is a teaching coaching program. It's not just coaching you. I'm not going to leave you to do it all yourself. There is going to be teaching elements to it. I am going to show you how to initiate your podcast, get it off the ground, get it launched. It's a 6-week program, and I'm going to be talking all about that tonight as well. So if you're interested in that, then definitely sign up to the class. Like I said, the link will be in the show notes. You can go to becomeapodcaster.uk and it will be there on the homepage. There will be a link for you to sign up as well. So I am really excited about that. But today we're going to be talking about why you might want to start a podcast in 2023. So last week we were talking about the power of audio. This week I want to talk about it specifically to do with why you might want to start a podcast. So the first thing that I wanted to touch on was the fact that podcasts are long tail media and they are evergreen. So long tail media refers to that ability of a podcast to attract and engage niche audiences over time. The great thing is that podcasts have a really long shelf life. So unlike shorts and stories and posts and things like that go out and then, they have their turn in the sunlight and then obviously they just die a death on the bottom of the social media floor. I just don't even know where they go, but you haven't got long to engage somebody. Like a story is gone in 24 hours. The algorithm kills your posts very shortly after they go live. But a podcast is not like that. Podcasts don't have an algorithm yet. Fingers crossed they never do, but they don't have an algorithm. So your podcast can be found at any time. And what I have found really interesting, and I've done this myself, is that when somebody finds a podcast they really enjoy, they binge it. So they don't just listen to one episode, they listen to more than one episode. Some people go right back in your catalogue and will just binge listen to all of your podcasts, depending on how long you've been around, but they will certainly go back weeks, months even, and listen to your past shows. And the great thing is that you can continually promote each episode. So each episode is a little soldier that can be out there promoting for you, and you can promote them at any time, and it just builds your traffic. It's fantastic. And the other great thing about it, so my second point that I wanted to make today, was the fact that there is such low competition at the moment. Okay, so there are less than 500,000, it's around 250,000, I think, and I've got the stats for my class tonight. So if you want the actual stats, you can come along to that. But it's around 250 active podcasts in the entire world. Now, there is many more podcasts out there, but only 250 are active, 250,000 are active. And those active podcasts are podcasts that have uploaded at least one episode in the last 12 months. So imagine that somebody stopped doing their podcast this time last year. They're now no longer active, but because, they fall in that 12-month period with their last episode, it's still showing as active. So there is a lot of room for growth within podcasts, and it is growing so quickly. It is amazing, the stats of the growth of podcasts in general. But just to give you a quick sort of comparison, there are over 600 million blogs in the world. 600 million blogs. So if you're a blogger and you're about to just start blogging, you're competing against 600 million other blogs. Now, of course, you're going to niche down to what your niche is. But do you think that there are possibly a heck of a lot of blogs about the topic you want to do? Likely. But with podcasts, there's only 250,000. 250,000. That means that there is definitely room for you and your topic, especially if you are going to be consistent. Because this is what happens, is a lot of podcasters will actually stop after their first 3 episodes. They put 3 episodes out and then they disappear. Now, the podcast is still there. They can still be listened to, but they are not updating. They're not putting new content out there, and listeners, they're not going to stay around for that. They want to find somebody who they can listen to on a weekly basis, or more often, or bi-weekly, whatever, but they want somebody who's consistently out there adding stuff. So if you're, for example, in the fitness industry and you want to start a blog, well, fitness is something that people work on for their entire life, and things in the fitness industry change so much. Once upon a time it was Reebok and the Reebok step and aerobics, and then it was like, oh no, that's really bad for your joints, you shouldn't do that. And then it was all into the yoga and the Pilates and no high impact stuff, and then it was like, no, running's the best thing since sliced bread. It changes all the time, so people need somebody who is going to keep them updated with the latest information and be a good resource for them. So if you can be that in your niche, whatever that niche is, then you're going to build a listenership and an audience for your podcast, and they're going to stay loyal to you. So I spoke about this third point a little bit last week, and that was that it is high value content that just helps you build relationships with your audience. Listening to somebody's voice is a lot more intimate than reading a blog post. And I feel like, I feel as a host more connected to you guys when I'm speaking to you than if I was writing. And I don't know why, maybe there's a psychological reason, but I just do. I feel more connected to you. I feel like I'm being more authentic with you, that I'm being more free with my words, that what I am saying is really from the heart rather than sort of scripted and prescribed as it is in a blog post where, we all went to school and learnt about doing a draft and then rewriting it, or, cutting it out and rewriting it and doing a new draft and things like that. And that was very much when I was at school. If you're a lot younger and you grew up with PCs in every classroom, then you probably just edited as you went. But, back in my day, we used to write out our stories and then we would go through them. We would read through, make corrections, tighten it up, remove fluff, etc. And then we would rewrite it and we would come out with a final draft. And so people, especially of my kind of age, older, maybe a little bit younger, they've got this view that if something is written and printed, that it has been curated, which means that it kind of takes a bit of the personality, a bit of that intimacy away. But when I'm speaking to you, even though I have notes here of what I want to talk to you about, not every single word is scripted. I am talking as if I am talking to a friend about this topic. And I hope that you on the receiving end feel that it's like a friend talking to you about this topic. And that is how you build your connection with your audience. And by building that connection, by providing them with high value content, you are building a history. And that know, like, and trust factor that I spoke about a couple of episodes ago, that's a really good episode to go and listen to if you haven't checked it out yet. So I will link it in the show notes. The fourth thing that I wanted to mention, I did talk about this last week, so I'm not going to go too much in depth on it. And if you've got any questions about it, then feel free to send me a DM on Instagram. It's Donna_Eid_, and I will, have a look and see if I can find you the answers if I don't have them myself. But it is multiple income streams. So as a business owner looking to start a podcast, you obviously want to sell what you do, whether that's coaching, whether that is training, whether that is in-person services, if you're an agency, whatever it is, you want to sell what you do. But also there is the opportunity for other revenue streams through podcasting. So in the podcasting world, there are people that get brand deals where they will advertise a specific brand and they will get paid for that. Now, there are two different types of payment when it comes to this, and this works with YouTube as well, where you will either have a contract that they will pay you X amount of money for talking about them on one podcast, two podcasts, three podcasts, a month's worth of podcasts, whatever it is, and they will pay you a lump sum, and that is it. Others will give you an affiliate code, and if that code is used, you get a kickback. It can be that they do both, that they pay you for a certain amount of segments and they give you an affiliate code so you can talk about it long past when the contract is up with the advertising, and you can still earn off of the affiliate commissions. So we'll probably do a whole episode on affiliate marketing another day, because it is a great way of boosting your income streams, talking about things that you already use. So for example, I am an affiliate for FEA Create. I'm going to be talking about that a little bit more often and telling you about it, because I think it's an absolutely fantastic tool. If you have ever gone to one of my websites, donnaeid.com or becomeapodcaster.uk, that is FEA Create working. I love their websites. They have got some beautiful templates you can use. You can customize it. It's drag and drop system, but it's so much more than a website. It's also a membership platform. It's also a CRM system. You can also schedule your social media through it. You can have funnels, pipelines for your clients in there. You can do all your email marketing in there. It is a all-in-one platform where the only thing that I pay for outside of FEA Create right now is Zoom. It's the only other business tool I pay for. So, and they're expanding it all the time. So I'm an affiliate for them. So if you come over, I will pop a link in the show notes for you so you can go and take a look at what it does and whether you'd be interested in it. But if you were to buy through that affiliate link, I would get a commission on that and I would get a payment. It doesn't cost you anything more, but I get something back for recommending it to you. And it's a great way of getting an extra revenue stream for things that you do. Now, I wouldn't recommend advertising things that you don't use and that you don't enjoy, because that is going to come across in how you talk about it. I wouldn't ever recommend to you guys something that I wouldn't use myself, because if I wouldn't use it, why would I tell you to use it? that's not what I'm here for. So I will only ever recommend things that I believe in. And that, again, builds on that trust. If somebody then goes and buys that thing and enjoys it, they're like, oh, Donna, she did me good there. She showed me something that I didn't know was out there. And now I'm using it. I really enjoy it. So that increases the level of trust with that person. So multiple income streams can be really cool. So those brand deals there, you can also have people come on your show and talk about what they do, and maybe you could set up an affiliate type commission there as well. We don't usually do payments for being on podcasts or pay guests to come on podcasts and things like that. That's not how that works. I would be very wary if you were asked to pay to go on a podcast, firstly, and I don't recommend you charging guests to come on your podcast. This is, to me, a collaborative effort. It is something that we do together for mutual benefits, which is access to each other's audience and shared knowledge. And that, to me, is worth way more than somebody paying me £30 to come on the podcast or whatever, and then not sharing it with their audience. So my audience then doesn't grow. So there are ways to make money through advertising on your podcast. There are ways to make money through selling your own things on your podcast. Different platforms also have their own ad spend, and you can do things like buy me a coffee, Patreon. You could have little memberships that go alongside your podcast. These don't have to be like really time heavy. It could be that there's a bonus episode that you do, or perhaps you do interviews, and people who sign up to the Patreon or the Buy Me a Coffee membership, they get the extended version, something like that. That would be a really cool thing. So there are other ways that you can monetize your podcast without it being too much more labor intensive for you. So the fifth thing that I wanted to talk about, and again, this kind of goes back to the guest thing that I was just saying, is repurposing your content, expanding your reach and your engagement. So repurposing your content is amazing, and I will come to that in a second, but expanding your reach and your engagement. So this, again, if you have guests on your show, you need to get them to agree to share it on their platforms. And this is them sharing it, not them resharing something you've shared. It needs to be something that lives on their platform. So that people can see that they've been on your show. This is then going to advertise you to anybody who comes to their platforms. Now, this does something for them as well. It shows their audience that they are an authority in the area that they speak to. When people can see that you have done speaking gigs, done podcasts, where you've been at events, then they're like, well, this person must know what they're talking about. And they can go and listen to the podcasts and go, oh yeah, I like the sound of this person. I like what they're saying. I get that. That resonates with me. And they're more likely to want to continue to get to know that person and possibly work with that person. So it does the guest good to share it on their platform themselves. And it also does you good. And then vice versa. So I always obviously share my podcast out to my platforms because I want people that I'm connected to listen to it. But that lives on. So anybody who's scrolling through my Instagram feed might hit on somebody that I've interviewed, see their picture and go, oh, who's that? And go and listen to that episode. These are going to constantly be listened to. Like my most popular episode for the longest time, and I don't know if it is still the longest, but it was for the longest time, and I'm talking at least 2.5 years, was an episode I did with Tamron about the wedding industry when it completely stopped, and the hashtag What About Weddings campaign that she was involved in. And that was my number one top listened to podcast episode for 2.5 years. And I had her on the show in the first year. So it was continually listened to. People went back and listened to that particular episode. They found it however they found it, and they listened to that episode. So just because you do an episode, and it's been a year, doesn't mean that somebody's not going to listen to that episode. Often people will come to your podcast, especially if you've got a space on your website for it, or you have a dedicated website for it. They will come and they will scroll. And if you've got a search facility, they might use a search facility to look for episodes on certain things and go back and listen to past episodes. I do that with Amy Porterfield all the time. She's got a great search facility on her podcast page, and you can search a keyword and it will bring up episodes that have got that keyword in it. It's fantastic. So it's always going to be working for you. And if you can get your guests to share it directly from their platforms, then it's going to do everybody a good deed. Repurposing your content. This is a fantastic thing about podcasts. I heard somebody say somewhere that you can't put 20 TikToks together and make a podcast episode, but you can break a podcast down into 20 TikTok episodes. I was like, oh my gosh. And although I know repurposing is a thing, I talk about it a lot and I've done that, it didn't really click to me that actually I could use several clips. I usually do one soundbite per episode, but I could take sound bites throughout the episode and I could share them again and again on my social media platforms. And reels are, I don't know how long reels are now. Are they 90 seconds or can they be longer? But you could pop it up on a reel, a 90-second reel. I do a story. I do a 30-second one. I can do a 60-second one. I can do a few minutes. I could put it on YouTube, just a clip, like a few minute clip from an episode. I can write it out, so I can put it into carousel posts or, quote posts, different parts of the same episode. There are so many ways that you can utilize one podcast episode. It could literally give you enough content to fill a whole month, just one episode. You could create enough content to fill a social media calendar for a month with one episode. It's a challenge, but it can be done. So there is so much opportunity and it creates so much good information for you to be sharing with your audience. And I absolutely love that. So here is a quick recap of those 5 reasons why you want to be starting a podcast in 2023. So it's the long tail media that's evergreen, no algorithm messing with your flow. There is the low competition. There's only 250,000 podcasts that are active at the moment. Things take time to develop. You can't expect to have success overnight. However, if you get in now and start consistently putting out fantastic content on a podcast, then you have the potential to make it big in the podcasting space. And maybe you don't want to be, the next Amy Porterfield when it comes to podcasting or Ed Milet. Maybe you don't want to be that big. However, if you get in there and you're providing fantastic content, your people are going to be able to find you really easily on podcasts over some of these other areas. High value content that really helps people get to know you. They can hear your voice. They can absorb your content and know if you are somebody they would want to buy from. You can have multiple income streams from your show, being an affiliate, getting advertising deals, selling your own stuff. It's a fantastic opportunity to share. And then repurposing your podcast. Like I said, you can't stitch 20 TikToks to create a podcast, but you can break a podcast down. So if you have been thinking of starting a podcast, or you're thinking, okay, I see this has legs, but I don't know if or how it would work for my business, then come along to my live web class tonight, 7 p.m, because I'm going to talk about the power of podcasting, as well as how different styles of podcasts can be used for different businesses. And if you are there, you can say to me, this is my business. How do you think I should use it? And I will let you know. We'll workshop it. So podcasting is growing fast, and the best time to start is now. As I said, I have got a small group program coming out with some VIP upgrades available. So that is what I'm going to be talking about at the end of the class. So if you want to come and find out more about that, then please do. You can sign up at bit.ly/webclass-SYP or head over to becomeapodcaster.uk and you can sign up for the web class. Then I am sending out the Zoom links at about 3 p.m. today. So if you are listening before that, please apply. If you're listening after that, please register anyway, because a replay will go out and you'll be able to get the replay. So that is becomeapodcaster.uk. That is it for this week, guys. I hope you have enjoyed that little look into podcasting. Next week, I've got a fabulous guest coming on to talk all about first impressions and presentations. So do listen out for that one. Subscribe where you listen. I would love it if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It means the absolute world to me. And I will share it on Instagram if you do that for me. So head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review there. I would love to hear what your biggest takeaway is from this episode. If you want to share it on Instagram, I am Donna_Eid on Instagram, and I will see you guys next week. Bye for now. Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.